Good morning, afternoon, and evening. Welcome to Eat Your Backyard, my YouTube channel, where I try to introduce you to all kinds of new and interesting plants that you might choose to grow, and also give you lots of videos on how to grow these things and examples of how to grow them. In fact, we've got a series where we're growing 50 pots of different plants and edible trees and so on, and I'm tracking them over time, so if you're interested, you can see how easy or hard it was and what worked and what didn't. So the purpose of this video is twofold. One is to hopefully charge you up with some beauty. Certainly we found it. We found it here. I'm on the banks of a small tributary. Hey, good morning, Norma. You can hear they are sawing away on beautiful decks. Most likely all the critters are doing what the critters do. Like to see that. Got a beautiful white heron down there on the bank. No, that's not a white heron, is it? No, is that an ibis? Is that what they call it? It's hard for me to. That is such a beautiful bird. The squirrel's hanging out right behind him. We had some brown pelicans that flew through. And just birds everywhere. And this is why I love Florida. Growing up in the Northeast, we had a lot of beautiful birds, but the types of large, beautiful birds and their numbers just astound me here. When I first started my fruit jungle in my backyard, it actually was a... Oh, look at you. Aren't you something? Well, yeah, let me see. No, I have no nuts for you. Well, Mr. Squirrel, you're better off learning how to fend for yourself. Unfortunately, people have probably turned you into a beggar. But when I first started my backyard fruit forest adventure experiment, etc., I had almost nothing back there. I would consider it to be nearly a plant desert, or at least a one-trick pony of grass and a few boring things. It did have one saving grace, which is a beautiful navel orange tree, which out of all things to have, what an just prize tree to have in your yard. And I had a neighbor who would spray lots of pesticides. You could smell, ugh. So I didn't see any insects. I didn't see any birds, really, except for the occasional pigeon that would sit up on the power line. So it's kind of, ready for all kinds of potential. And now that I have it as a thriving kind of ecosystem of nonstop fruit and things, there are bugs and animals and all kinds of birds all the time, especially the birds, though. They're just, because of course they can just fly in from anywhere. Yeah, thank you. I was lucky to have the orange tree. So lucky. I couldn't believe that I had been gifted such a thing with my new house, because it was a mature orange tree. And this navel orange tree was producing something like 100 navel oranges a year. I mean, it was, and they were the sweetest, most delicious, holy moly. And then, okay, I'll tell the story of the death of the navel orange tree. One evening, I was looking over towards the navel orange tree and realized there was a spider that was as big as my hand. It had built a web across the navel orange tree. So just the sight of a spider that size really kind of freaked me out, to be quite honest. I haven't seen one that size since. Yeah, doing the commute, time to make the donuts. So I went inside and I got some bug spray, and it's the kind that just shoots out a hose of bug spray. It wasn't a banana spider, it was something else. Yeah, I don't know what it was. It was big. That was part of the other thing that freaked me out, is to not be able to identify it, it was strange. So I sprayed it with some wasp spray, and that did the trick. But the problem was, about a month later, my whole navel orange tree dropped every single leaf it had and died. That taught me a very important lesson. I had to pay with the life of my navel orange tree for this lesson, which is, it's just a spider. Relax. Which has been a good evolution, because now, I commonly see a black racer. I had a video recently where a black racer was in the video by the grow table, came by, and they're pretty aggressive in terms of, they'll strike at you if you get near them, and they're fast, and they're just an edgy snake. But I love them. They're cool looking. And the first time you see one, especially if they get up on they kind of coil up and get that cobra thing, and they'll strike at you, and the first inclination, I think, just in our DNA is like to get rid of the snake, the serpent in our midst, which is really not the right choice, right? Because that thing is like not poisonous, not a danger to you in any way, an essential part of your garden. The worst thing that's really going to happen is you could be bitten by it, and that would just really be resolvable probably with some hydrogen peroxide and a Band-Aid. And you'd have the coolest story ever. But the only way you're probably going to get bitten by a black racer snake in Florida is if you are trying to do something to the black racer in Florida. Corner it, interact with it, pick it up. This is how people typically get bit. But yeah, it's a sad story of the navel orange tree, but yet it opened up a part of my yard for many other things. So, and in fact, I'm thinking of putting a grapefruit tree right in that same location now. There you go. Well, there's a lot of traffic on this aquatic highway. Okay, so I'm going to explore around a little bit today. If you have any viewer requests of interesting things, let me know. You can let me know in the comments. It doesn't have to be just during the live stream. A lot of people come on afterwards. That's good too. I check the comments generally throughout the day. So if you have a particular plant you're interested in that I can find, I'll go seek it out. I have a great video coming out either today or early tomorrow about the Jamaican Sorrel, which I had a great experience checking out locally here with a master gardener who's growing them, and they are in full bloom now. Taste like cranberries, easy to grow, seeds widely accessible, and I'll leave links to those in this video I'm releasing. They're inexpensive, so yeah, that's going to be a cool one. Sorrel, actually, Jamaican sorrel, which is a type of hibiscus, tastes just like cranberries, and the leaves are edible and are very tangy, and it's just an incredible, it's actually a hibiscus bush. It's just a type of hibiscus, which is actually a huge commercial crop in the world. You learned all these things within the last couple of days, and it's fascinating. I want to share them with you. I'm going to be releasing that video, which I'm going to be making as part of a larger series called Pick It, Plant It, Eat It. So this stream is the first introduction of that new series, Pick It, Plant It, Eat It, where I go into a little bit more in-depth analysis of some of these plants. And I can do this because I'm starting to form relationships with local plant aficionados / master gardeners / people who actually have degrees in horticulture, which is fascinating to me, and permaculture. And man, is it exciting to get with those folks and have a conversation and see what they've got growing. And I've got a lot of these types of friends that I'm going to be highlighting on the channel, and I think you'll enjoy it too. The plan is to get out some content that shows kind of a how-to, what they've got growing on, and then do some live streams where viewers can ask them questions. A little update on the channel progress. We are almost up to 25,000 subscribers, which I'm very pleased. Any help you can give me forwarding out the channel to others who you think might enjoy this kind of stuff, find it useful, I appreciate it very, very much. you know, hopefully I want to be a service through this channel, and hopefully that's the service, meaning help people, to be a benefit to them in some way that helps them in their life. That's all I mean by that. Yeah, so lots coming in 2021. Got an exciting plan for content, and I may even do some Skype interviews with folks, but I'm certainly going to do a lot of going on location, talking with a master gardener who has the type of edible fruit or shrub or tree in their yard or vegetables, and highlighting how they do it. And also stay tuned for the Eat Your Backyard New Year's Eve video, which is going to be a compilation of viewer videos sent to me to my email address, by the way. Oh, thanks, Norma. I appreciate it. Yeah, sharing it on Facebook. That's a great idea. Yeah, anybody who can share it on Facebook, let people know. Like I said, if you think it's useful to them, I'm not trying to say anything but that. Yeah, so a lot of cool things going on, but especially the interactive part of this channel is now growing much more, and I find that to be really cool. There are so many interesting yards and applications of edibility in people's lives around this particular area, and I think just about everywhere. I think it's an inspiration, and I'm hoping to encourage people in 2021 to really plug into systems which serve them, and I don't mean that in some weird way. What I mean is there's nothing that is going to serve you more than doing the kinds of things you need to do to have greater connection to what's right around you. And I think that's the big part of getting into growing plants, is you're focusing on what is right in your area, what is right under you, and you're connecting with it in a very meaningful way. In fact, many times you're eating it, right? So you've created a system which gives you nutrients and feeds you, and I think that's important in a lot of ways. But I think it's really kind of primal to what we are as creatures, which is why we're drawn to it so much, which is why I enjoy every minute of it, and I appreciate all of you being part of the experience. I hope the videos of places like this charge you up a little bit, and you can be like this bird just swimming in the water. Where'd he go? It's an underwater bird. Oh, there he is. Yeah, we call those sea chickens. That's probably not the scientific name, but down he goes. Good morning, Maxine. Thank you for the butterfly. Yeah, we're just enjoying a beautiful morning on the banks of a small tributary creek feeding the larger Indian River Lagoon. There were some dolphins that passed through here. I'm going to get a live stream in the morning here where I show you some dolphins feeding. They're feeding everywhere all the time, so it's not hard to achieve that. But they come in very close. As I look across the small little river here, I see a beautiful mossy oak hanging down next to the river. That is something else. Some date palms. Oh look, there's even the old areca up on the hill here. The areca is not hard to find. There it is. Areca clump. Sable palms. Oh, and I think since we've got a fair amount of people on the live stream right now, this is the right time to share this news. I was live streaming last night at a location, but making that sorrel video. And I discovered, I was told, I have not verified this or done it myself, that areca palm seeds are edible. 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 This changes my whole paradigm, by the way. They smell great. Areca palm seeds smell great. They call it the sugarcane palm. If you're not familiar with it, it's this palm up here on the hill, and you can see it kind of has that umbrella shape. It's a multi-trunked palm. It has this beautiful trunk that's exposed. Comes from the island of Madagascar natively, but it is a thriver here, even though it is somewhat endangered there, I am told. It thrives here. But it produces an incredible amount of seeds, which I've been documenting and showing in my backyard for years on this channel. As it turns out, yeah, they taste a little bit like bananas. They're delicious. That's what I'm told. So I'm going to eat them. I'm going to do some videos about that. But if, you know, that's the case, my edibility factor just increased dramatically, and I didn't even know it. I've been chucking these things in the yard waste container when I could be making sweet, sweet areca jam. And you know what they say about areca jam? Usually they say, what's areca jam? They've never heard of it. What's areca? So it's a weird, bizarre thing. You ever had a glass of areca palm wine? I don't know that anybody has, but maybe they have somewhere. Who knows what? Once you find out it's edible, like all the things you can create from it are now under your discretion. But that's a good example of just pressing into the dark room, so to speak, pressing into the unknown, making new friends, talking about things you're both interested in and driven to do, and learning and learning and learning, and it just becomes increasingly more interesting and wonderful. Life. You know, they have this saying in Eastern philosophies of, you know, life is the ever-emerging thousand-petaled lotus. I like that image, that framework for life, because it points out a few things. First of all, and nothing lasts forever. Everything's impermanent. Just like that bird's caw. So, good times, bad times, they all have a beginning, middle, and end. And there's a lot of cool things to do. So get involved, get into it. That's what I say. And by the way, send me a video. Send me a video of what you've got growing on in your yard. Hey, thanks for getting on the stream. Yeah, because I'm really looking forward to getting as many viewer videos as I can. I'm going to get a few from the master gardeners I've got around here as well. But that's not really fair, because these guys have a neurotic connection with plants in the best possible way. But some of these people that I know, it would not be an overestimate to say they've got 50 different types of fruit trees in their yard. And I'm talking on a 1/4 acre lot. So they have optimized in every way possible. So I wouldn't want to compete with that. I just love it and want to just immerse in it and learn as much as I can and get more delicious things in my yard. I want to give you a quick list of some things I'm considering in my yard. Not sure what you are, but hey, we're getting up on New Year's. Let's make a list. Jaboticaba. That is one that I am planning on getting in my yard. It's got almost like grape-like fruit that grow right on the trunk. If you haven't seen a jaboticaba, well, it's weird to say the least, but gotta have one. Another plant that I'm hoping to get is the miracle fruit. Norma is working on a video. I'm so stoked. Thank you, by the way, for doing that. Yeah, I can't wait to see it. I think it's going to be so fun to release it on New Year's Eve. So some of the other plants that I am strongly considering is, of course, the grapefruit tree. That's kind of a staple Florida tree. Also the miracle fruit, which is the fruit that if you eat it before eating something sour like a lemon or a lime, it makes the lemon or lime taste sweet. Not kidding, that actually is a thing. I've already started to expand my banana varieties collection. I am going to expand my sugarcane collection. In fact, again, I used to be 5 varieties. Now I'm back to 1, but I'm going to creep back up again. Everything has a beginning, middle, and an end. Well, we're going to start this one over again. Actually, Ben, who I was talking to last night about the sorrel, has red sugarcane, which is beautiful. I'm sure he would not object to me taking a cutting when the time is right. So, yeah, exciting. Those are some things that I'm planning on growing, now that I know that areca palms are edible, I'm in trouble, because now I want to be Johnny Areca palm seed, around my yard, which I got to resist that. But I've got a bunch of arecas growing as areca grass, what I call areca grass. If you just you just drop a seed pod anywhere in my yard in a corner and just leave it, you'll have 100 areca palms growing a month later. And well, I have that, so that's kind of interesting. But now that they're edible, like I said, wow, can't wait to try one. Just, what the tragic irony is? I find out that it's edible like a half month after all the seeds in my yard are gone. We have a video with Jack and I just piling up areca palm seed pods. We ended up really placing them around the yard just to make that areca palm grass, but I could have got started in the areca game. Well, oh, the veggie plot. I'll tell you what, nothing wrong with just videoing that veggie plot, especially if it's cold and dreary. I mean, that is what it is, right? So this is when you're planning out the veggie plot. It's like, man, boy, the vegetables that can be grown are incredible. This is really the time in Florida where we start to grow those vegetables here, and there's going to be a lot of videos on that too. I planted red kale and red beets, dark red beets lately that I'll be showing you, but because of the heat in Florida, you have to be kind of particular. Root crops are always pretty good. There are some very strong leafy crops that are good. Things like melons and gourds and so on are also a good pick, but classic southern crops like okra are good picks. So let me know if you have any particular plant types you're interested, even if it's just a general category. This is a good way to get input from the viewer community, and it also helps drive me to new things. I gave you a bunch of examples how just leaning forward, next thing you know, I'm learning that areca palm nuts are edible. The diamond that was right under my feet the whole time. Yeah, and that kind of stuff counts if you ever have to answer the question, the grocery store's closed, now what? What's for lunch? We're pretty thankful, I would think, any of us on this stream, to not be in that situation. I have a feeling if we're watching YouTube streams, we're not in that situation, but just a couple bad luck events and we could be in that situation. So at that point, then this idea of not having food growing everywhere around you is tragic, right? Especially when there are things that grow perfectly well in your area. I think it's one of my interests in 2021 is expanding edibility everywhere you go. I think it's just a good thing. Why wouldn't we want to? I think it's good on so many levels. And I know I've heard a lot of the cons of, it attracts rats and all that kind of stuff, but just think of it from any lens. From the lens of a child, the idea of having fruit everywhere, this idea that you can go around and the earth produces this fruit that you can just pick, and kids are so intrinsically motivated by fruit trees and fruit being around wild. It's fascinating. It develops a type of curiosity, I think, in them that is really, really important in their development. Also, in terms of a sense of community that we all share in a resource. I love the idea of community fruit trees without big rules on them either, which is just like the rule is just pick one or two. And everybody just kind of goes there, and it's a collection point where you're really collecting around something meaningful, which is, food. Food's a big deal. It sounds so dumb to say it, like it's too obvious. But it is. What's the order of operations for life? First order of operations, breathing. That's why all the religious books and the meditation techniques and all that kind of stuff point to breath as life. Well, because if you stop breathing, of course, the life is no longer likely. But short order after that, what's the next order? Well, food and shelter. But having resources for food and shelter, and a lot of these things are both. Oh, that's so cool, Slightly Stacy. Pecan tree. Yeah, that is, wow. Yeah, what is this thing growing? What are these things dropping? And you find out, wow, there's pecans in them? We had things we called horse nuts growing up. Not a politically correct term, but yeah, horse nuts. But they were these, they were walnuts that came, that were showering down everywhere. And I had no idea that it was a walnut tree. But, you know, when I did find out, my grandfather informed me that, yeah, super wormy, super buggy, like that tree, the fruit, whatever. It was, it's never a good experience. But it had been early on in its life back, 50 years ago, and my grandfather could tell me the life cycle of that. Yeah, oh, by the way, I'll share another idea. I'm generating all kinds of new ideas for this channel and the other YouTube channels I've got going on. One of them is like telling some stories of my youth related to really growing up on a farm, but the kinds of lessons that I learned there that serve me now. And I mean just simple things in terms of how to grow a plant and how to integrate, really what was in my life was a nonstop food production activity for all my relatives, coming together around both the growing, the harvesting, and the cooking and preparing and giving of food. Yeah, grandchildren are about the best thing ever, just short of your own children. Except for the distance of being able to deal with a grandchild and not have to be responsible for every single thing seems like it would be inherently relaxing. I only have, I have 4 children, 2 of them in college, and not sure when I'll be a grandparent, but pretty soon, I imagine. Can't wait. Can't wait. And let's just tie it right back. So looking at life through the grandparent lens. Let's look through that one. There's this thing called Indra's net, which is that life is like a spider web with dewdrops on it in the morning. And as you look at one dewdrop, you can see all the other dewdrops in that dewdrop and their perspective on what's going on. So it's like this idea that there is an infinite amount of perspectives from which to pay attention to something, lenses to look at them through, and that life is a lot like that. It's an interesting framework for looking at how the world works. Well, if you look at this hobby of edible landscaping and gardening through the lens of a grandparent, being in a grandparent role, you have those grandchildren come over. I want to have a cool backyard tour that involves their hands getting stained with mulberries, them tasting things that they find odd, spitting out seeds, climbing in a tree, having a papaya stem sword fight. I want that. And to get right into it, because I know that's going to be a good time. So, yeah, create novelty in your yard, we won't regret it, likely. Not too much. One of my friends, he does a lot of work with kids and, getting them into landscaping in his he's got like a nursery. And man, oh man, these kids light up. He's introducing them to a place a thing in their life that they'll enjoy their whole life potentially. But you can see the excitement. Wow, wow. They're pretty cool. I love to see all the comments and what everybody's growing. The spinach. I got to eat several of those Jamaican sorrel petals last night, which are crunchy. They're wonderful. And I decided I'm just going to eat a whole Jamaican sorrel. And I picked a small one and ate it, and it almost had like an okra flavor in the middle of it, which made me think, maybe I need to get into growing okra. And it turns out that same spot I was at, they had about a 10-foot okra plant there that was growing up. Yeah, that means I need to grow okra. I did try spinach earlier in the year here, but it was just the, kind of a more generic version of spinach, nothing super hardy, and it was just mowed down by bugs relentlessly. I'm planning to do an upcoming video on something I learned about last night, which involves applying basically worm scraps to plants to get their microbiology up. This is an area I'm going to explore quite a bit coming into this next year. Apparently it works quite well. Red worms, yeah, learned about that last night as well. Ways to, how do you not just have the caterpillar come in and just wipe out your whole yard without having wipe out all your fruit and vegetables and all that. In Florida, that's a very possible scenario, especially as you get the ecosystem going in your backyard a little bit more initially. Well, I think once it kind of rounds the turn and you get more of the complete collection of bugs and animals that might be in your area working together, it kind of evens out. And if you can have your plants being strong enough, I think they'll grow through it. But there are a lot of cool things you can do that don't involve putting down pesticides, going to Lowe's and putting down lots of money on stuff that makes you feel uneasy, like I've done before. There are natural pesticides. My Aunt Mary's good old, mashed up garlics and dish soap does the trick. And there's also things that you can do to get the microbiology of your yard activated so that it works for you. And then you'll find the things that just, aren't suited for your area. You have red wigglers going again. Okay, so you're using the red worms, the composting worms? Red worms, they call them sometimes. Red wigglers, I like more. Yeah, composting is something I have not explored a lot, but I'll have to get that cracking. So yeah, just lots of exciting new live streams, but also content coming out. I hope you'll check out that Jamaican Sorrel video as well. Let me know what you think about it. I'm going to buy some Jamaican Sorrel seeds. I put a link down in the description in that video for how you can get some too. It looked like they were about 15 bucks for a pack of like 60 of them. You notice you never see the, oh hey Kip and Jake. Yeah, you never see the, just buy 10 seeds for $5. Like, what am I going to do with 60 Jamaican Sorrel seeds? It's like the year that I bought the pack of mammoth sunflower seeds, which came with like 30 or 40 mammoth sunflower seeds. I planted them and I had about 30 mammoth sunflowers, which are all about 6 feet tall in my yard. Too much. But you ought to see the look on that teacher's face when you bring in a 6 foot tall flower for them for Teacher Appreciation Day. It's a thing. You can't go buy that at the neighborhood store, probably. Okay, well, thanks for joining the live stream. I appreciate it. If you have any ideas or things you want to look into, please leave them in the comments. I got a bunch of them from the stream comments already, which I'll take note of, and I plan to do a couple more, at least, live streams today. So thanks for watching. Have a great day. Hope you're charged up. Pick it, plant it, eat it. New series. Check it out.